You've said you wanted to be transparent to make sure the FBI kept its credibility. But almost any time someone is investigated, you come up with damaging information about, or you can come up with damaging information about that person. It's highly unusual for prosecutors, much less investigators, to share that information if they're declining to prosecute. I'm not a lawyer, but I understand that's why they call it prosecutorial discretion, not law enforcement discretion. So why did you do it?
I think that's right. As I said, the norm is the Department of Justice, with the FBI standing next to them, announces the closure of an investigation. It's not true that it never happens that transparency is offered when an investigation, a prosecution is declined. It's done when the public interest requires it. And I don't think there's a serious argument that the public interest didn't require some transparency here. I did it because I stared at the two options. If I do the normal thing, stand next to the Attorney General, a corrosive doubt will creep in about whether this was a political hit job to can an investigation of one of the two candidates for President of the United States. And that will be fed by the fact that President Obama has already twice said there's no there there. The Attorney General has met with Bill Clinton. Again, I don't think she did anything improper, but reasonable people, forget partisan wingnuts, reasonable people could have a doubt about what's going on with the Attorney General right before she announces the closure of this investigation, meeting privately with Secretary Clinton's husband. And so my thinking was, okay, there's two options. This one is much worse for the institutions of justice. I can spend some of my personal credibility, because I wasn't viewed as a partisan, and the FBI's, and by doing that, protect the institution. I knew this was going to be terrible for me personally, because I knew reasonable people could see it differently and say the things that they've said. But I thought, as between the two, the FBI offering transparency separately is the result best calculated to maintain the faith and confidence of the American people and end the investigation in a credible way, which we did, I thought.
But why, if your intentions were so noble as you believe your actions were, have you been so roundly criticized by just about everyone?
Yeah. It's funny you say that. I don't actually, sometimes people say when everybody's mad at you, it means you're right. No, it doesn't. It could be you're completely wrong. I don't know for sure. I think people that have taken the time to put themselves in my shoes, and I'm sure we're going to talk about October, which is a much more difficult decision, and stare at the options I stared at, would say, as the Inspector General did, I disagree with the results, but I understand why he did what he did. And if people take the time to do that, the most important thing about the Inspector General's report, I believe, for the institution is we made the decisions in an apolitical way. We were trying to, and honestly, I've stared at this 1,000 times, I would still do the same thing. Because doing the normal thing, norms produce predictable results in the normal situation. This is a 500-year flood. The Obama Justice Department, of which I'm a part, is investigating the Democratic candidate for President of the United States and is about to decline a criminal case on the eve of the conventions. How do you do that and maintain the faith and confidence of the American people? So
but is that really your job? Is that your job to decide how to maintain the faith and confidence of the American people?
Yes.
Is that within your purview?
Absolutely. When you are the leader of one of the institutions of justice, you must care about that deeply, because the entire institution rests upon the faith and confidence of the American people. When the FBI rises in a courtroom or in Congress or in a cookout, they must be seen as independent in American life and must be trusted as people who care only about the facts